Hello. Today I want to talk a little bit about going beyond motivation, and it's something that's really interesting for me because a lot of times I've heard people say, "Wow, Nemo, you're really motivational," or "You should be a motivational speaker." Or one thing that has never left me was when I first started coaching. Someone had said to me, "Nemo, I don't have the motivation to be motivated to," and then she finished off her sentence. And I was like, wow, that's really something. If you don't have the motivation to be motivated, if we have to put levels on on the motivation, that really says something. It really speaks something. And I wanted to make this video here because I was thinking about my own journey and thinking about where I started out in 2013 when I first started working on an online business, when I first started really putting myself out there for others to see me would be on just me as an employee. And what came up a lot was that I was consuming a lot of podcasts, like watching a lot of different things, and really getting inspiration and motivation from both of them. And what I realized in the last few months here is that there's something that goes even beyond there. And I want to just spend a little bit of time talking about that for all of us here, so that we can really see what is it that we want and what will actually get us taking steps out toward our wilderness. I talk a lot about belonging, so really being able to show up more as ourselves and be able to create something from that place. So right now I want you to imagine in your mind a graph, and like a curve, an exponential curve. And along the ways, just kind of see 4 different points, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And where the 4 different points, I'll go through each of them right now. The first one here is, when you think about the graph, we think about what is the impact that's made and the duration in which it lasts. So impact and duration is typically where I look at it. And the first thing that comes up is along the curve, it's inspiration. So when I think about inspiration, I see that as something that is short-term, short-lived. It came in the moment, and it has a little bit of impact because we're like, oh wow, I'm so inspired, I can do this. It opens up new possibilities, and I love possibilities. And there's this feeling of, wow, like I want to go out and do something, or I'm feeling inspired. There's more options that are available to me. Whether or not any action comes from that or not, what I typically have found is that inspiration doesn't necessarily lead to that there, but it primes you and it opens you up for something new. The next level then, number 2 on that exponential curve, is motivation. Motivation is something that ends up, if we really can get motivated there, typically involves some level of action. You can stay motivated for a longer duration of time, and something typically comes to life. Maybe you're motivated to finally call that person that you've been wanting you've been holding off on calling, or you're motivated to write the blog post, or you're motivated to speak up on behalf of a colleague, or speak up for yourself. You're motivated, the motivation seems to come into play from a standpoint of having enough duration for you to be able to complete an action or a series of actions for a certain duration of time, but it ends up being fairly short-lived. And a lot of times when I talk to people, when I listen to videos, when I watch videos, when I listen to videos, when I watch podcasts, a lot of the places that people tend to play and to stay in are in the inspiration and motivation areas, which is great. I'm happy that people do that. It actually has given me a little bit more freedom to take it to the next level. So going back here, we have this exponential curve that starts off with us getting to a little bit of inspiration, and then moving up against the curve a little bit further, we get to motivation, and then shortly after the inflection point of the curve, where we really start to see some real impact coming in on a longer term basis, is when you get to empowerment. So the third area here is empowerment. And this comes from a place of really getting into, okay, now it's not just that I'm motivated to do it, but I actually feel a sense of empowerment. I have the power to do this. It is up to me. And it is in my control to create what it is that I'm looking to create, or to bring to life, or to take action on what I want to do. And so what I see with empowerment, when I really talk to people around empowerment, when I and you probably can see this yourself, when you meet empowered people, there's certain actions, there are certain set of actions that continue to be available to them. And what I would say there is that when an opportunity arises or when the environment calls for it, they feel empowered to take action. And it isn't something where they need to be motivated to do it. They don't need to be inspired to do it. They have that internal sense of empowerment as like, this is mine to act on. And they go forth and they make that come to life. So in that regard there, empowerment ends up being a much stronger place to really create long-term impact and for a longer-term duration when it comes to really making a change or really taking action. The fourth place, and now this is the place that now I've chosen to play with. It's the reason why I do experiences. It's the reason why I do coaching. It's along the list. We've gone from inspiration. We've gone a little bit further up to motivation. We've crossed the inflection point on the exponential curve to empowerment. And then the fourth place on there is transformation. Transformation. And the reason that I love transformation and why I choose to really proceed the way that I do is because when you are able to transform a person, or when a person is transformed, a whole new set of possibilities and a whole new set of actions become available to them. And it's not just that the availability is there, but they actually become within reach. So let me make this kind of concrete. A lot of times growing up, there were times where I would see something or say something was possible, and the response I got back was, "Oh, you know what, Nemo, you could do that, but I couldn't possibly do that. You could do that, but I couldn't possibly do that." It's an action, it's a physical act out in the world, but for some reason, because of who I was, that option was available to me, as opposed to it being available to my colleague, my friend, my partner. And when I look at the transformation curve there, it really gives us a chance to say, okay, if you can really get to who you are and who you're being, then that will shift you from a place of having to be inspired or having to be motivated and just make it who you are. I'm creating this video because this is what I do. I didn't have to be inspired to do it. I didn't have to be motivated to do it. This has been something that's been on my mind for a while. And as this is something that I do, I came out here and I decided to share. So I wanted to provide this paradigm and kind of see what goes beyond motivation, because a lot of people out there are talking about motivation. They're talking about inspiration, and it's great, but there are other areas available to you. And as a pioneer, as someone who is a leader, and really for the leadership that we need going forward to create the world that we're looking to create, empowerment and transformation are two incredible tools and two incredible places that we should be looking to really achieve. And along the way, we'll inspire, along the way, we'll motivate, but that's not the end destination. So I'd love to end this here with you thinking about it for yourself. Where in your life are you looking for inspiration, looking for motivation, and instead could be looking a little bit further to where you should be feeling empowered, or where you can actually make a transformation on. We can talk later on around how to actually create these transformations. But right now, let's just build up an awareness around where we are actually setting our sights for, all right? Then the second part of this, the B part of this, is to now look at it and say, when you're with others, whether you're leading others, whether you're coaching others, whether you're in a conversation, maybe it's with you and a friend or a family member, when you're with others, what level are you going for? What level are you aspiring to create for that conversation? Is it an inspiring conversation? Is it a motivational conversation? Are you trying to empower the individual? Or are you trying to help create a space for them to really transform? And right now, I think it's just enough to be able to just gain some awareness around the various levels that you can show up for yourself and can show up for others. And see where you're currently playing, see where you're currently targeting, and ask yourself, where do you want to play? Where do you want to play? I'm Nemo Ashong, pioneer leader of the World Joy Movement. And I'm asking you today to stand up, to show up, and to speak up for your world. Your world needs you. Journey on. Wherever you're watching this, leave a comment. Let me know your thoughts. Whether you agree or disagree, I want to continue the conversation. Take care.